another minute here, and it is, yes, this meeting is being recorded, so just started recording. But as I mentioned, we will just give it one more minute to make sure everyone has joined and everyone has turned on their audio and video or all their options that they prefer. Okay. Just as soon as the clock turns, I will proceed. And I appreciate you joining this meeting in the evening. I know it's after a day long, it's hard to learn things, but I hope I keep it excited for you and answer your questions. Okay. All right. We'll give it a start. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Christina, and I will be your host tonight for the Airbnb setup presentation. As I mentioned before, this webinar is being recorded, and it's also Kids Up Economic Development Alliance is sponsoring this current webinar via the Olympic College's continuing education program. I'm hoping that this webinar will give you an extra reassurance for opening your home to visitors. A little bit about me. Originally, I'm from Moldova, but I currently am residing in Arizona. I speak multiple languages, but in my family in Moldova, we speak a Romanian language. I worked in the hospitality industry for a couple of years, and then I've been hosting and co-hosting since 2017. I managed and helped start up about 16 listings, out of which 2 were in Washington State, and I have been a superhost since 2017. I started with a small guest room in a family home, and later on I helped a neighbor who liked the idea and set up their little guest studio. And I currently co-host for about 9 listings in my area where I live, and I have different setups. For some listings, I just do the messaging with the guests, and for so the communication part. And for some listings, I also do the cleaning. I also manage all the inventory. I make sure everything is ready. I inspect the house before the guest arrives. So I do those extra steps. All right, so we'll go through these few compartments tonight, and at the end, so we'll conclude with a Q&A session. So if you feel like you have a question or an idea that comes up during this presentation, I encourage you to write it down, and then at the end, I will give you time to go through the questions. And if you prefer to write it in the chat group, you can do that, or we can just have a conversation, whichever you prefer. All right, so we'll start with Airbnb basics. And Airbnb is a platform for short-term rentals, which is up to 28 nights. So anything more than 28 nights booking, for like a single person to book more than 28 nights, it's considered a long-term rental. And so Airbnb does allow that as well. But just kind of something to know that when you have someone for less than 28 nights is considered short-term rental. So it's just one example of a rental platform. And although there are many other platforms, Airbnb is one of the few that allows you to post just a section of your home. For example, you can just use one room of your house to rent out. Airbnb platform also has an user-friendly application interface, and you can list an entire home. And by the way, full disclosure, I do not work for Airbnb, but I am just a user of their platform, so I can describe it to you. So you can rent out an entire place, an entire house, or just a part of your home. So, for example, if you have an attached unit or a guest room that is attached to your house and you want to rent just that section, you can do that. Or if you have a studio on your property that it's a detached little home, you can do that as well. Or if you have a room in your home that you want to have it available for guests to use, so they just have that little room to use, and then you give them access to a shared space, which can be a bathroom that can be shared, living room, or a kitchen. So the host decides what they want to open for guests to use. Well, I started hosting a little after my first Airbnb experience. It had a big impact on me, and I knew that I no longer wanted to use hotels when I traveled. When I rent a home in a different country, I get a glimpse into the locals' daily life and unique architecture and design. And the journey starts from the airport all the way to the rental's doorstep. I once stayed in a little guest room by Lake Como. And in the instructions, the owner told me, meet me at this bar, which was his bar, and I will give you the key. So it was a little weird. But anyway, he offered an aperitivo, and then he took us to the guest room, and we saw this beautiful view of the lake and the mountains. And it was that extra meeting at the bar was like an add-on, like a bonus to the already beautiful room with a beautiful view. But it was like, it made it more unforgettable. So this type of experience made me also open my home to welcome guests from around the world. And it's a great opportunity to introduce visitors to your local culture, sharing your favorite hikes, your favorite sunset spots. That's a very popular question. Where can I watch the sunset? Where's the best place to watch the sunset? A favorite restaurant. That's another popular question. And it's another opportunity to introduce visitors from around the world to your local community. If you have local events that only happen in your neighborhood, that's always makes everything so much more special. So yes, and greet them in their own language, and share the warmth of your community. So this summer, there will be a World Cup, which is for those who like soccer or football. It's happening this summer, and it is coming in Seattle area, and there's an estimate of roughly about 750,000 people that are going to visit Seattle and the surrounding area. And the expected visit is for about 9 days, which that's a good amount of time to see some events and also explore the local sites. All right, we went through the Airbnb basics, and we will go with the essential compliance steps for Airbnb hosts, which is the necessary part. I know it's a little tedious, but of course we have to go through. First thing is to check with your local government if any permits or licenses are needed. Depending on your town, you might need an inspection or submit some paperwork before you list your property. So we'll go through the steps in a little bit. Seattle area has local laws that govern short-term rentals. So check with your community development office at your town to familiarize yourself with these requirements. You can also join some local groups that represent hosts to learn about the permitting process and get access to useful resources. And the next few slides will be included in my presentation that I will be emailing to you. So don't worry about keeping up, retaining all of this information, because I will definitely send it to you. Most individuals or companies that conduct business in Washington state must obtain a state business license from the Business Licensing Service. You can reach out to your county's agency to check if you need a business license to operate. I will provide some in-depth resources for the Kitsap County and contact phones for the counties that are nearby. In addition, most cities also require a separate business license in order to legally conduct business within their jurisdiction. So another thing to check with your local government. For example, in the city of Bremerton, any business with a physical location within the city limits must obtain a City of Bremerton business license. So for short-term rentals, you need a Washington State business license, City of Bremerton endorsement, and City of Bremerton short-term rental agreement. Apply for your Washington State business license with your City of Bremerton endorsement. So the endorsement becomes your City of Bremerton business license. And you can apply online through the Washington State Department of Revenue, which I will explain a little bit more detailed in a few slides. As another example, for the Kitsap County, it is required, the following are required for the short-term rental certificates, which is valid for about 1 year, and it is required to be renewed annually. So you need a Washington business license, a proof of insurance, which I will also talk about in a little bit because of using the Airbnb platform. You also need a floor plan of the unit, which you see those in hotels also, like on the door. You see that little floor plan just for safety. Short-term rental must also post the rules of conduct inside the unit. Occupancy is limited to 2 adults and their minor children per bedroom, plus an additional 2 for the living room. So you can have a pull-out couch in the living room, so 2 more can stay. Parking must be on site in addition to the main house parking, and on-street parking is allowed if it's allowed in your area. And an agent must be available to remedy concerns, for example, neighbor complaints or any emergencies within 30 minutes. So if you are not in town and you have a co-host or someone you trust who can answer those questions, you will also place their name as an emergency person on the contact list. And then no events are allowed in the unit, because once you allow events, it's just a different type of certification. So we're just going to make it that we'll tell our guests, no events, please, no weddings, no musical performances. It's good to be upfront with that. All right, and a little bit more in depth about the certification. It cannot be transferable. So once you apply for it, it's only valid for your name and address. It's valid for 1 year, after which it can be renewed. And also business license is required. Different agencies have their different standards of requirements for the rentals when applying for certificates. So be prepared to maybe, as we mentioned before, present the floor plan. Some of them require it, some of them do not. All right, so operational requirements, which we went through a few of them before, but we will have to post the physical address, local emergency contacts, and the owner's information. The owner or agent, which owner or co-host is responsible for compliance and oversight. All advertisement must include a short-term rental certification number. So wherever you mention about your listing, if you want to share it on your social media or even on the Airbnb platform, you have to include the certification number. taxes and fees. All owners must pay applicable federal, state, and local taxes, either through the rental platform or other methods. And I'll explain about this in a little bit. And liability insurance. Owners, operators must maintain primary liability insurance to cover their rental in the aggregate of $1 million, or conduct rental transactions through a platform that provides equal or greater primary liability coverage, which actually Airbnb does offer that, and I will explain more. Enforcement is managed by the county, and on-site inspection can be ordered at their discretion, and violation can lead to either a fine or revocation of your certificate. All right, so this is an example of something you would post in your unit. So you'll post it on a wall, preferably where the guests can see, somewhere visible, maybe on the fridge. And to here, what I would add is also, if you do allow pets in your unit, you can add veterinary emergency number. And if you have non-emergency phone numbers for your area, also good to add them here. Okay. So Airbnb has a process in place to verify whether users are individuals or business entities, because you can create a profile being a business, an LLC, or as just a person, private person. This verification typically involves uploading your ID onto the platform, but both hosts and guests are required to complete this process to ensure trust and security within the community. All right. So air cover is an insurance that Airbnb provides. So that's another benefit to this platform, because as I said, there are other platforms that offer this possibility of renting your space. But the benefit of using Airbnb is that they do provide this insurance, and air cover is for hosts and includes a guest identity verification, as I mentioned before. They need to upload their ID, reservation screening, just to make sure you're not getting spam, like someone just trying to, I don't know, trick you or something. 3 million host damage protection, and 1 million host liability insurance, and a 24-hour safety line where both you and the guest can access and contact Airbnb in case anything happens. So the 1 million host damage protection, it protects you in the event that you're found legally responsible for a guest being hurt on your property, or your property being damaged or stolen during an Airbnb stay. So this is what Airbnb air cover offers. And I really hope you don't have to access this. But honestly, I did have to apply for this a couple of times when the guests basically refused to pay for something that they damaged. And when the guest refuses to pay for that, that's when Airbnb intervenes and covers the host with this insurance. All right. Okay. How does Airbnb make money? So Airbnb withholds a service fee, which is between 3 and 14%. Out of the total of your nightly rate and the cleaning fee. So you have that total, and 3% of that total will be charged of that, your fee and the cleaning, nightly fee and cleaning fee, and then the rest of like 10% will be added on top, and the guest will pay, directly Airbnb. And you'll receive your payout the day after the guest has checked in. So for example, if the guest checks in on a Friday, you'll get paid Saturday morning, but you will not get the funds until like 3 business days. So you'll probably get the payment actually on Tuesday. So that's one thing to consider. All right, and here's an example of a nightly rate breakdown. And as I mentioned before, the guest service fees collected by the Airbnb for their services, obviously for this platform to operate. And then in some municipalities, Airbnb will also collect the occupancy taxes on your behalf. So you don't have to pay those taxes to the state yourself. They do it for you. And in Washington State, you will need to register with the Department of Revenue to report your annual income. And even though Airbnb collects the taxes on your behalf, you will still need to register and report your income. And it's here in Arizona, for example, we have a tax that I have to report. You choose how often you report. I suggest you just do it once a year, and you apply for that type of certificate or license, and then you opt for the hotel industry. And there is a section there where it says that the platform collects the taxes on your behalf, and then you don't have to pay anything to the Washington State Department of Revenue. So you just report, but you don't pay them anything. So it's all these steps that we just mentioned. I know they're a little bit a lot of information, but yeah, as I mentioned, the best thing is to go to your local government, your local community development department, and ask for anything that they need from you. And looking through all these requirements, actually, it's not too bad. Here, for me, I had to write letters to my neighbors, notify them that I have an Airbnb, all directions of around our house. So it was a little bit some hoops to jump, but I think this is pretty straightforward. It's pretty basic. Obviously, we want to ensure safety for our guests, and I think all these requirements are pretty good, and it kind of covers us as well, just in case anything happens. Hopefully nothing happens. All right, and as I said, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to write it down, and we will go through them at the end. All right, so the next, we'll go through the step-by-step process on creating a listing. And first, we will start by taking some pictures of our space. And best is to do it in the most lit part of the day. So when you have the best sun, that's when you take advantage of that light, and also turn all your lights and use your iPhone. I'm sure you have a good smartphone, and just use your phone and take the pictures. It's really, I think it's this ones here that you see are my Airbnb, and I did use a professional photographer, but honestly, I had my iPhone pictures for the longest time. I decided to splurge a little, but I did use my iPhone pictures for the longest time, and they worked just fine. And also, I recommend you open the curtains when you take the pictures, because you want to create realistic expectations. You want guests to know what's behind those curtains, even if it's a wall or if it's, it doesn't matter. They just they can see it. And if you have the lights on, you have some plants, you can really make it look nice and warm and welcoming. Okay, so I also recommend to only include picture, in the picture, things that the guests will have access to. And I know a lot of times, you see those pictures on Airbnb with a bowl of fruit or a bouquet of flowers, which if you think you're gonna have that for every guest, it's okay, you can do that. But I recommend, just include what the guest will actually see. Close-up of some decorations are optional. If you'd like to highlight that you have, for example, multiple options for coffee making, you can add a picture of that. And as a pro tip, especially if you are the one who will be cleaning the space, I will recommend that you declutter the space. So this this makes it easier when you clean. You just do the wipe from one corner to another. You don't have to lift too many things to wipe under, to disinfect, things. So keep it simple for yourself, also for your own benefit. All right, so and we can start at this point with the basic amenities and keep adding and removing extra if you need. So ultimately, what's important for guests is the cleanliness, some plush towels, a good Wi-Fi, and the phone charger next to their bed, because by the end of their travel, they just want to sit, lay down in bed, look through the pictures, and post them. So they always want a good charger next to their bed. I think that's a bonus. It's simple, but All right. So this is an access. You can access this link, and I can help you with the setting up of the listing and answer some questions through the Airbnb app eventually. And it will help me a lot also, since I will receive a small referral payment from Airbnb if you use this link before you create your listing. And I will share this with you as well. Okay. All right, so you created your Airbnb profile, you go to Airbnb and you start creating your listing. So we will describe our place, make it stand out, and then finish and publish. All right, so this is the great benefit that Airbnb offers, is that you can choose what type of house you offer to your to your visitors. It can be an igloo, it can be a dome, boat home, house, earth home, so anything. You can have any type of space, and it's there to be offered. And again, this is where you can choose if you want to offer an entire place. And this is just so you know. So when you offer, even though that room is part of your home, but the guest has their own access, so they don't have to share the living room or anything. The guest will have their own access to that room and bathroom. It's considered an entire place. Okay, so if the guest doesn't have to go through a common area, of your home, they have their separate entrance. Maybe they have a little separate courtyard. That's a bonus. But that's what you consider an entire place. And again, here you can choose how many guests your home can host, and how many bedrooms, how many beds. So you can choose here. And so it's a good place to decide how many people you are ready to host. If you're not feeling comfortable hosting many guests, you can close part of your home if you decided to rent your home, because like you go vacation, right, for a month and you want to rent your entire home. You can just close part of sections of your home, like some rooms that you don't want them to access. And this way you can start with a smaller number of guests, always like a couple. I mean, they're not going to do much in that house, so it's always the damage is minimal. Hopefully no damage, but the footprint is minimal for two people. So if you're feeling confident, you can open the more space and you can welcome families, family reunions. So it's okay. You can decide a little later. Okay, so make your place stand out. And again, this section can be edited later. You can add or remove amenities as you go, even when you host someone. You do want to offer basic amenities. So you do want to offer, Wi-Fi, not necessarily TV, but at least, include that you have whatever you are offering for guests. So as we mentioned before, the basic amenities that I think you should offer is linens, charger, an extension cord. In the bathroom, you should offer shampoo, body soap, towels, bath mat, and welcome coffee or tea for the morning. It's something actually that I stole. It's always all my Airbnbs are inspirations from my own travels with other Airbnbs. Are always like steal ideas. But in Europe, I guess they offer welcome coffee, so they don't offer coffee for every morning of your stay, but just for your first morning. Because in hotels you have the cleaning ladies bringing you the coffee in the morning and doing the turn down. But in the Airbnb, nobody's going to come every morning and bring you amenities. So that's one thing that guests usually don't expect, a lot of coffee. They just expect at least for 2 or 3 mornings. All right, so then we are uploading our pictures, which we're going to choose the best lit pictures, the ones where you look at your phone and they invite you to the space. As I said, make sure there's light. It makes a big difference. And now we're going to give it a title. So again, you can change this title later. Don't worry about it too much. And make it basic. Maybe you can add something that's includes a note about proximity to a point of interest in the area, close to this stadium or this park or this beach, something that kind of attracts. You can also then create a description, and this description is going to be like your sales pitch. It's going to be 500 characters, which is not that much, where you can include the best highlights. You're selling it. You're selling your place in this part, because the next compartments we're gonna describe in depth about the property and what the guest has access to. So I like to kind of take the guest through the door and tell them, you're going to enter the living room. You're going to have access to the smart TV. You're going to have access to the Wi-Fi. The kitchen has full amenities. The kitchen has all kitchenware you can use for your cooking. So I kind of describe every room and what it has in it and what the guest will have access to, because it creates that, type of like expectation that what they see in pictures is one thing, but like they don't see in the drawer, they don't see in the cabinet what's in there. So it's good to describe those things, because guests actually do read they do read those descriptions. All right, so then we're all done. We can finish and publish our listing. Okay, now the Airbnb is going to ask us to set the base price. And it will suggest you a price, but I would recommend you go and kind of like see in your area similar types of rooms to see how much they charge, just so you are competitive with other listings. Some listings, they charge a little more because maybe they have jacuzzi and that needs upkeep. So consider those things. If you have something that's that extra that you think that is gonna cost you more, then definitely include it in your nightly price. If you have, because jacuzzi, it takes extra electricity to heat, maintenance and all that. So if you have those things, it's good to consider. And then, yeah, so you can choose the weekend price, which will be, let's say, you know, $10 to $30 more than the week price. So we can start with that. At first, you will also be able to offer a listing promotion of 20% discount. So again, when you set your price, if you want to receive net $100, you should set your price to $120, right? So you receive the difference. You still receive however much you want, because the Airbnb will automatically deduct 20% of your nightly price for the first 3 guests. Only first three guests get that 20% discount. And what it does is just places your listing up on the search list. So when the guest goes and searches for Airbnbs in this town, they get like all these results on the first page, and yours will be on top because you are offering that discount, or will be very close to the top, even though it's new. All right, so then you want to share your safety details for your listing, which is if you have any exterior security cameras, you have to disclose that. If there's any noise in the neighborhood, if there's anything that's like construction, or anything that's like, I don't know, like an airport or something, that the guest, if something that the guest you think will complain about, you should disclose it. And if you have any weapons on property. All right, so then you will publish your listing, which just makes it basically the listing exist on the Airbnb platform, but then you will do extra steps. Okay, so optimizing your listing is next, and guest communication and improving guest experience from the moment they book and the check-in process and their stay. So we'll go through what happens next after you publish your listing. Okay, so first we need to decide when do we want to open our house for. Like, so we'll have you'll think about the dates, and there's a setting where you can by default block all the dates and just select what dates you want to open. You can set a minimum of 2 or 3 nights, or even 1 night, and you can edit the rates as you approach the unbooked nights. So, for example, if you think you'd be happy, every one of us, of course, we have bills to pay, we have mortgage. So if you think that you want to make at least $100 a night, including the cleaning fee, and that's your minimum, like there's no way you want to make less, then you can decrease your price down to that amount, but you can still make that sale, because I know it's like not a lot of money, but when you sell 7 nights, a week, that's $700, so it adds up. So yeah, as more you approach on your calendar the dates that have not been booked, I recommend you make some changes, so then it sells the night. You can sell those nights. And again, you can set a minimum of 2 or even 1 of 2 or 3 nights. So it depends on your availability. And this is an example of a calendar. So as you see, I have some family visit here where the dates are grayed out, 25th to the 29th. So I block those dates because I cannot receive any guests. And then the white dates there are available. And this rate that shows you here, $83 a night, that's not including the cleaning fee. And then, of course, we have some bookings here on the weekend. All right, so when you click on one of those dates, it gives you this pop-up message where you can block the date or change the price per night. You can also change the minimum. So, for example, when I have that January 9, I have usually I have minimum 2 nights. Like, so the guests cannot stay. Like, the weekends, I'd rather have someone come in on Friday, leave on Sunday. It makes sense. So I have minimum of 2 nights. So nobody can book less than 2 nights. But I have this situation here where I had a booking for one night because I wasn't getting any bookings. So I was just desperately like, okay, I'm going to decrease my minimum to one night. I just want it booked. And then I had the Friday night unbooked. So I also made an exception and I said, okay, I'm just going to open it for one night. It's fine. I'll change the settings. So you can definitely play with that. So it's to your benefit. Okay. Availability settings can also be found and edited through the calendar settings, and you can set preparation time between bookings. So you can set up that you have a day or 2 days if you need more time to clean the space and turn it around. If you're doing it yourself, if you have work and you cannot do it until after 5 p.m. So you give yourself that day between bookings, and automatically, if you get a booking from Friday till Sunday, you'll get Monday blocked, Sunday night blocked, and Thursday night blocked if you set it up for that. And then you can also allow same-day bookings. For example, if your calendar is open, you don't have any bookings, but your room is ready, you want it to get sold, you can open that calendar for someone to book the same day, and you can set up a limit. So nobody can book after 5 p.m. And so the listing automatically becomes unavailable after 5 p.m. And I recommend this setting because honestly, especially from the beginning, it's kind of like I noticed that the guests that book the same day, they don't really read the instructions and they don't really read the house manual. So if you like are not really confident, you can not have that option. So nobody can book the same day. But I, for myself, noticed that I'd rather them, if they arrive by, book the same day and didn't read anything, I'd rather they at least book it by 5 p.m. So it's not like last minute and they get lost somewhere. Yeah. All right. So this is another thing that I think it's really good, and it gives you a little peace of mind. So you can choose who can book. And obviously, you cannot choose who can book, but you can give it a filter of guests who can book. So only guests with a good record, good previous reviews can book your listing. So you can take that option, and then only guests who have uploaded their ID can book your room. Also, you can set that as a requirement, and you can also send a automatic pre-booking message, which basically asks your future guests to tell you why they're coming in the area, what brings them to visit your area. All right, so this is a little more in depth about what I just said. So it is recommended to use instant book because that will bring you more traffic to your listing. It's just advertised more by Airbnb when you allow instant book, which means basically without the guest asking you, hey, can I book your house? That means instant book. They can just click and it's booked. They don't have to ask anything. But if you opt for toggle that option there that you see on the screen where it says require a good track record, it means any guest who didn't have a good review before, they had a 4-star instead of 5, or they don't have a picture on their profile, So those guests will have to ask you permission to book. They'll say, hey, I'm visiting Seattle for this reason. Can I stay at your home? I hope it's available. And you can accept or decline, which I don't recommend declining. If you accidentally realize that, oh, I cannot host, just wait a little. Just say, sorry, I don't think I can host you because my listing is not available, if you don't want to for any reason. But I just noticed that, yeah, some guests, they don't have their profile picture, or they had like 4 stars at the previous at their previous stay. Honestly, it could be a different reason. I kind of like, for me now, it's like I accept everyone. But if you're not feeling comfortable yet, it's okay. You don't have to accept everyone if you don't feel comfortable, if they don't have their picture ID or they don't have a good track record. So then the pre-booking message is what I send to them. Basically, before they book, they see this request from me. Hey, tell me why you're coming to why you're visiting. So it sets the tone for clear communication, and it gives a personalized welcoming message before the guest confirms the booking. And then here's the place where you can add something like, let us know if you want the second bedroom made, because if you have 2 bedrooms and it's only one couple visiting, you don't really have to make the second bedroom, right? It's kind of like unnecessary. So sometimes, like, I tell them, hey, if you're coming to this listing that I have 2 bedrooms, please tell me if you want me to make the second bed. Another thing that I mentioned here is, like, please note if you're booking the non-refundable option, because some guests, they book the non-refundable option, which gives them 10% discount, and then they later tell me, oh, actually, I didn't even know that I booked that non-refundable. So this is another place where I'm like, make sure you read all the rules, make sure you read everything, you're aware of your reservation, because after you book, it's confirmed. And for one of my listings, it's an older home, so it's a little bit drafty. So I usually, all my listings, I ask people not to have their shoes inside because of the red dirt in Arizona, and it just makes cleaning much longer. So I do tell them, for a better experience, bring a pair of socks or your home slippers. You feel more comfortable. Yeah. Okay. So in the calendar settings, we also will add additional charges. So yes, something not to forget is to add your cleaning fee, because even when you do your taxes, the cleaning fees are taxed differently because it's one of your expenses. So I know there's a conversation about, like, all these fees that Airbnb adds, but if the cleaning fee is, I think the cleaning fee should exist in the pricing. So it's good to add it separately. If you are allowing pets, you will also want to add a pet fee. And then if you have more than 1 bedroom, I also suggest you add a additional guests after 2 charge, because you will have to clean more laundry, and it just again, you're making an extra bed that takes more work for you. So there's an option to add extra charge after 2 guests. So for example, you can add $15 for the 3rd guest, because you'll have to make the couch for them, you'll have to set up their linens, you have to add more towels. I recommend you add that charge. Okay, so I do also recommend you meet with if you are not the one doing the cleaning, that you meet with at least 3 cleaners, and get some quotes. So every cleaner you ask, okay, how much will you charge me to clean this space? Ask them if laundry is included, because that takes longer. That adds another hour just to do the laundry. To, if you have 2 loads, you have to wait for the load to finish, put the second one, wait for the dryer, fold the laundry. That adds some time. And ask them if they are also doing the laundry for you, of course, if there's access to laundry machine. Also ask them if they will do inventory for you and restocking, because that is also an extra step. To notice the details does take time. You have to make sure, okay, you're out of sugar, please make sure you next time you bring sugar, you bring more paper towels, more toilet paper. We're out of I don't know, coffee, we're out of shampoo. So ask if they are willing to do that. If not, you'll just have to be the one checking, after each cleaning and after each guest, to make sure that that is done. Okay, so we're gonna go through the checklist so far. So the calendar is updated, the rates are set, and now we're ready for guests to book. You opened your calendar, you opened the dates that you think you want to welcome the guests. What's next? All right, so when you have your first booking, congratulations. What do we do next? Okay, so as in any type of business, communication is key. So it's important to review that message as soon as possible. Timing is quite important right now, because if you, as we mentioned before, if you have a request for someone asking you if they can book, this is when they are shopping around. They maybe asked you, maybe they asked another listing. So it's good to kind of make a decision and accept, or tell them that, sorry, you cannot accept their booking, their request. So it's important to make it timely. So as soon as they send you that message and you agree to host them, you will send them a message saying, thank you so much for choosing to book our room, and the brief description of the space. So I usually send them an additional link with the description of detailed description of the space, of the house rules, check-in, check-out time, and what's expected for them after their departure. And so that I send at the time when they booked. And you can organize that message, so you can just have a copy of it. And thankfully, Airbnb allows you to have it like kind of a shortcut. So you just click on it, and Airbnb even adds their name to it. It's pretty good, pretty effective. And then it sends it to them. Okay, so how many messages is, because it is kind of like, like a text message type of thing, Airbnb application. It's on your phone, so you open it and you get these messages from your hosts, right? So as we mentioned before, we send them one message at the time when they booked. So their booking was confirmed. Thank you for your booking, and here's the details. And this is an example of that message. So I say, thank you for booking our studio. Below you'll find the essential information you'll need before your arrival. While it may seem lengthy, it ensures you have everything necessary for a smooth check-in and enjoyable stay. feel free to reach out if you have any questions or if you need any recommendations for the area. Keep in touch, Christina. And then I send them the link to the description, as I said before, the property, the house rules and everything. And then I send them a message the morning of their arrival. So when they arrive, I send them at 8 a.m. I have an automated message. I scheduled it. So for all my check-in guests at 8 a.m. on the check-in date, they will get this message where it tells them about their entry code and anything that you want to remind them, because there's different scenarios and different listings. My co-hosts, they ask me to include something. For someone is important that, please, Christina, remind them about the quiet times, because like they share this wall, and the host of mine, she's like, she can hear them, and she asks them, please remind them that the quiet hours are from 10 p.m. till 7 a.m. So this is something important for her, and she wants me to remind them on the day when they are about to arrive to keep quiet. And then for us, we get a lot of questions about how to get to a property, because it's a little bit tricky. So we send them a more specific reminder, because I mean, we already sent it to them when they booked, right? We sent it to them in that Google document, but we want to remind what's important. And then one message to follow up on check-in, just in case it gets dark. So in our area, we are dark sky compliant community. So we don't want to leave any lights on for too long. So we want to tell them, hey, we left this light on for you, and we are sending them extra pictures, because pictures are worth 1,000 words. And honestly, from my personal experience staying in Los Angeles one time, I was so grateful for my hosts to send me a picture where I need to park, because I was like, it was very confusing, the description. But then they sent a picture, and I was like, okay, this makes everything more clear. So again, unfortunately, Airbnb doesn't send automated pictures messages. So it is something that I kind of communicate with the guest on the day of arrival. I just want to know when they are arriving, because honestly, I don't want to keep my phone after 9 p.m. I'm going to bed. I don't want to have to explain someone how to get something. I mean, I have done that multiple times, but I prefer not to. So I want to be in clear communication before they get there, that like, here's how you do it. Here's how you find your door. Okay, and then one message on checkout day. So when they check out, you would like them to do something specific. There's many things you can ask the guests to do before checkout, and I recommend you select the top 3 that are important to you. Maybe you are not going to get there to clean until the next day, so you want to ask them, please hang the towels in the bathroom instead of putting them all in the bathtub, like, so they soak there, and it's humid. So you can ask that. These are some comedic requests. I'm hoping you don't request them to apply a fresh coat of paint before checkout. But honestly, I've seen all kinds of requests. They're so silly. I'm like, now, like, after hosting for a long time, I'm really like appreciating some things, and when the guests do, and I tell them, hey, no need to take the trash out, but just bring your slippers and bring your shoes, house shoes, something like that. So these are some examples right here of what to request at the end of their stay. So you can request for them to strip the beds. I know some cleaners actually will ask you to do that. because they want to start the load as soon as they get there. So because the laundry load takes so long. So you can request that. I personally do not. Be sure to place all the debris in the trash can and check around under the beds and dressers to make sure there's nothing left behind. So yeah, that's another thing that guests do tend to leave things behind. Just today, I got a phone call from a guest who stayed just one night, and they're like, "Hey, we forgot our pillow and our blanket. Can you ship it to us?" Like, I don't know if it was a convenience thing for them not to want to travel more with the pillow and blanket, but it was just like, okay, that's odd that I need to ship someone's pillow and blanket. But yeah, of course, they get charged. We can send them a request to cover for the shipping cost. Okay, so another important part that I keep sending the guests to when they book is the house rules. And again, this is something that you can choose what's important for you. Again, as I mentioned before, got inspiration from other Airbnbs that I personally stayed at that I thought were good house rules. And you can choose whatever it's more important to you. So obviously, for the cleaning reasons, again, this is a big part of this industry, is the cleaning part, because you want to make more money and you want to be able to turn around your unit maybe the same day if you have the possibility of cleaning it. And so you don't want to be hold back by having to clean or air your space because someone smoked in there or they used their dirty shoes inside, and now you have to steam clean your carpets. So you don't want to add more time to your cleaning. You want to be able to turn around your rental the same day if possible. So that's why these rules are helping you to achieve that. And as I mentioned before about the pets, if you do decide to allow pets, what I noticed is guests can filter by properties who allow pets. So and guests who have emotional support pets or service pets, they don't have to pay that pet fee, which is basically an extra cleaning fee that is usually smaller than your house cleaning fee. So for example, if you have here in Arizona, for example, for a studio, I charge about a small studio, which has the bed, a small kitchenette, bathroom, somewhere between 45, 55, like $35 to $50 cleaning. And then for the pet fee, I'll charge an extra $40 because I'll have to vacuum all that fur off of the bed skirts, anything that has fabric. You have to clean, right, the pet fur afterwards, because you don't know if the next guest who will come will be allergic to dog fur. So you don't want that issue to arise. So again, it's something you want to consider and something you want to plan for, that you will have to clean a little more if you allow pets. And as I mentioned, yeah, if it's a service dog or emotional support pet, they do not need to pay that fee. And sometimes and you're not allowed to ask them to show you that by law. You're not allowed to ask. The only thing you're allowed to ask is, what does that support animal do for you? That's the only question you're allowed to ask by law. So, and again, you can look into this more, but it's something to consider when you make the decision. And yes, again, if you have, that's another thing that was surprisingly, but maybe not, is the plumbing issue. Again, you have to mention if it's an older building, or if you tend to have, if there's a septic tank, right? You have to put a little sign, I recommend, because there's never enough reminders for guests to do certain things that are important for us. But in the bathroom, we have 2 signs that remind them that we have a septic home, and we please do not place anything but TP in the toilet. So we provide a little trash can with the lid for any sanitary napkins or anything to go into there, because we want to encourage guests to not just put everything in the toilet. All right, and then another thing is for you to ask them is to report if any items are broken, because if they just leave and you go into the house and you find something that was broken, you just assume it was them. You maybe you didn't turn on the TV to test it last time, and maybe they didn't use the TV, right, or something. But it's good to kind of like ask also the guest to tell you if they found that something was broken or missing. So then you don't necessarily like blame them first place. Okay, so after the guest departure, um, I have a pro tip for you that I noticed that it works really well. So, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but basically, if you are Superhost, you get your listing up top in searches on the Airbnb search page. So you have to have 10 good reviews. So I recommend at least for the first 10 guests, on the day of the departure, you send them a message and you say something along like, hey, we hope you had a lovely time, and you are one of our first guests to stay at our place, and we would love to hear if you have any feedback for us. This will make the guests be less direct in their review that is available for everyone to see. So they will give you those details to you personally, and that will be, much helpful. Then they'll probably be satisfied that you know about those things, rather than just them putting on a review that everyone else can see when they book your listing. And so, yeah, so you have 2 weeks after the guest has left to leave a review. And if you didn't leave a review but the guest did, you will be able to see the review only after 2 weeks, or after you also left them a review. So whichever, they can leave a review just the day after you departed, and you leave them a review, and you'll be able to see that. And sometimes I notice, like, when I don't have any bookings, I will go and just make sure that I've written all the reviews, just because, like, a review is actually like a advertisement for you, because previous guests are the best ones who can, say something about your property that it's not really visible in your pictures or your description. So it's good to have those reviews, posted. And so it's also good to have a little book, which at the beginning I was not a big fan of, but now I realize, especially for listings that I just inspect and kind of go and see that everything is okay, I recommend you place a little guest book. And so when the guests left and you are not sure if they enjoyed their time or not, like they didn't message you to give you like feedback, there's a chance they left a note in your guest book, and now you'll know that, okay, they had a good stay. I'm gonna go ahead, they left it clean, I'm gonna give them good review, 5 stars. So if it gives you additional information, I think that's very helpful. Okay, so about the Superhost. status. In order to get a superhost status, there are a few milestones to complete. You have to receive 5-star reviews, overall rating. So at least 4.8 average, and you have to have a 100% response rate. So this is where the replies are important. Remember, I was mentioning before where it's good to have timely replies and to also accept requests because of this, because of your rating for to become a superhost. So you have to have at least 10 completed stays, and that's up to every quarterly superhost review. So every 3 months, I think it's April, June, September, October. So every 3 months, the Airbnb does kind of like the test, and they issue that superhost status. And also you have to have 0 cancellation rate. And this is where, again, I'm going to stress this a lot. It's very important that you check your calendar to make sure that you don't have available, like, open dates that actually you scheduled maintenance for those dates and actually it's not available, or you have family visiting and you cannot host someone you don't know because family's in town. So it's because you can cancel. To knock on wood, I never canceled anyone. But one time I actually did have to ask someone to cancel, because if I cancel, that's why I don't know, and I'm not sure, but there is, like, the first time you cancel, it's fine. Airbnb is like, it's fine. First time we'll give you a pass. But if you have to cancel it often, they will start like kind of like giving you a penalty, and plus you will not have the superhost status. So that's why I kind of recommend, it's better, if you're not confident, just block your dates, and then if you're aware, you know that those days are available, you can go ahead and unblock them. Yes, and then this concludes the presentation. So now we will have time for questions and answers. I will leave the presentation at this page, where it gives you a little more information about the Olympic College continuing education programs that you can check out. As I said, I will send you this presentation as a PDF file with all the data that you can address. And okay, I'm gonna go now to the page, and if you would like to add a question in writing, or you can unmute yourself and I can listen to you and I can answer the question. Or should I tell me if you need help me unmuting you, because I don't know if if it, by default this meeting room is muted.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Sherry. Yes, I can hear you.
Hi. I want to ask, the whole process of setting it up and writing out a description of your property. Does Airbnb have, just to pretend like we can just go through it and over until we get it just so?
Absolutely, yes. So what you do is basically the part where you post to finish it. You just don't go through it. You just don't publish it. So you can just leave it there, and you can create multiple listings and not publish them. Or you can publish them and just block the calendar, like block all your dates, so no one can book it. It will still be in searches. You might still get requests because it will be published.
Okay.
But you can unlist it also. There's that option of unlisting it, your property off the platform.
And are you being charged for that time that you have it up when you have things blocked?
No. No. Airbnb doesn't charge you anything. They only get their percentage when you get paid. So you don't get any money until the guest checked in. So they want to make sure the guest arrived, they found your place, they had a night at your place, and then because obviously they took the money from the guest 2 weeks ago when they booked it, but they hold on to that money until the guest actually comes to you, and then they disperse that sum to you after they checked in.
Okay.
So you don't get charged anything, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, I was gonna also maybe talk a little bit about another platform, Verbo. I don't know if you heard about it. It's also available. And I also use that platform. It's pretty straightforward, just like this. It has a bigger, how to say, because Verbo was acquired by Expedia or Booking.com, one of those bigger websites. So your visibility will be more. But Verbo's interface is not as user friendly. So, like for example, Airbnb allows you to add a co-host. So if you have a person who just has an Airbnb profile that's your neighbor or your family member who can help you when you're out of town, or they can answer questions or something, you can add them as co-host, and then they'll have basically the same. You can decide what access they can have. They can only see the messages, or they can have access to seeing how much you get paid for that night by that booking. But then the co-hosts can help you, and so you can add them to your listing.
Overall, in your experience doing this hosting, how has it been? I mean, for the most part, are the guests respectful of your property? Have you ever thought, oh my gosh, I'm throwing in the towel, I'm never doing this again? Have you ever had a moment where like, oh my God, I gotta...
Like, I know, honestly, and that's like something that I feel like I bring support for my co-hosts, because I started doing it, right? And then I have friends, oh, are you doing, Christina, can you help me? So I'm like, yeah, I can help you. And so that's like, I noticed that that's where they need my help with, is when they have this like situations, which is rare, thank goodness. But there's multiple people. There's always like someone who I'm like, I'm like, how did you get tomato sauce on this calendar that's in the laundry room? Like, how did this happen? Like, sometimes like I'm like trying to play detective to think how
could this possibly...
And like, or like sometimes like I enter the house and I'm like, I already know if it's gonna take me a long time to clean or not. First of all, the smell. I even like put a sticker on my ventilation above the stove, because when people fry bacon, it just smells. It just, the fat like really goes into the wall. So I tell them, please turn on the ventilation when you, especially when you fry bacon. Because again, a new guest comes, they don't want to smell the previous guest's bacon. They want to have fresh experience. True. So yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, how did you get Cheetos in the bathroom? Like, why did you eat something in the bathroom and like now I have to clean it? But yes, there's all kinds of situations, and thankfully, it's all okay. Most of the guests are very responsible. They tell me, hey, I broke this lamp, I'm gonna pay for it, just tell me, just charge it. Some guests, they want to fight it, and it's something like, it's, again, if it's worth fighting for, it's if it's an item that's like 5 years long. Yeah, and then I know that a lot of my co-hosts, I'm going to answer this question in just a second, Teresa, but I was just going to finish that. A lot of my co-hosts are, how to say, they also ask me like how to make this decision to charge. The recommendations for new hosts, like they start a new listing. Christina, I've read all about this, like amenities. They told me to buy new white sheets and new white towels, and it's again, everyone has different habits of cleaning, but white, you can see all the stains on white, and I guess if you use bleach you can do white. But I've been using colorful sheets, or like a tint sheets, and they work just fine. And not to make advertisement, but like Costco does have some good quality sheets that are also like good, like stain proof, or I don't know how to call it.
And for us personally, I'm sorry to interject, we're on a well, so white is just not a good
No,
option
we were
here.
on a well
The
too. Yes.
minerals, yeah, we have a
And
lot of minerals.
yes, it's I mean, that's one thing I'm very upfront. I clean my Airbnb like I would like my host to clean when I go to someone's Airbnb. So I launder all the sheets all the time between all the guests. We place them um, on the in Arizona it's very dry, so we put it in the sun. We bleach them with the sun. So I even say that to my guests, like the sheets, everything is cleaned between guests. So that's very important to me. So I have a question here on how you determine pricing. So we did talk a little bit about how we decide on the pricing. It depends on your area. It's good to do your research and look at the competitors, like look at the listings around your property, and also make sure to open that listing and look what they offer, because maybe you offer something that house doesn't offer. So they are charging $80 an hour a night, but you have this better view, and that's usually worth more money. So you're gonna be able to charge a little more. Airbnb does suggest a price when you post your listing. And I discovered, like at the beginning when I was first starting, the suggestion was just ridiculous. It was like $40 or something, or $35. I'm like, no, no, no. And I worked in hospitality before, and I remember I was told that the minimum that the hotel had to make was at least $60 a night, right? So we had some nights that weren't booked. They said, Christina, minimum you can book it for is $85 a night. You cannot book for less, because then the hotel is not making money, because we have to pay the cleaners, we have to pay the electricity, we have to pay this. So we're not doing that. So, but we are not a hotel. We are, just a physical person. So we can decide on how much is worth for us and our effort, because also it's to consider that it's Airbnb is initially planned as a budget type of travel, but you have to be motivated to be in it. It has to be paying you, right, and to make the effort. So you don't want to have a very low rate, and then God forbid have a bad experience with the guest, and then like, oh, why am I doing this? Like, I'm not even getting paid fine, and then I have this extra damage from this guest. So the pricing is something that you can start with, and as I said before, the first 3 guests that will book, they will have the 20% off extra. So this is what happened to me. One time I learned from my mistakes is I had my new listing on, and I offered a weekly discount, like 5%, and then like a monthly discount, and then I didn't know, but then they stuck up, so they stuck the percentages. So this guest basically had a very good deal for 1 month. They paid not that much, and I learned my lesson. Because it was the first guest, they get 20% off plus the weekly discount plus the monthly discount. So you have to, consider. So I would suggest you increase the price by 20% that you want to accept for the first 3 guests, and then you can go back and lower the price. And again, this is when you download the app, the Airbnb app on your telephone, the calendar is very easy to maneuver with. So you just click on the date and you can change the price. You can change the minimum of nights and everything.
Can I ask a question? Something that, for me personally, the smoking, I noticed on your thing, you had said smoking's outside.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking now that, a lot of people are vaping, and it's a sweet, syrupy smell. You can smell like something fruity or something. How do you handle that when, they don't follow through with, because vaping, they think, oh,
Yeah.
it's not like cigarette smoke, right? It's sweet. And
Yeah, I know. I even
if a
I
guest
put
does that,
because I also print the manual inside the house. It's available for them to read all the rules. They can, if they didn't read them before the booking, then they'll have the access to read them when they are inside.
right?
So I mentioned that I allow any kind of smoking outside, any kind, because like there's vaping, there's recreative type of smoking. So unfortunately, I do have guests that do smoke inside, and yeah, it's honestly like sometimes, like one time I did have to charge a guest to to wash all the carpets because the house had carpet flooring. So I had to steam wash the carpets because of the smoke. And yeah, it does happen. In especially, in this scenario where there's carpets and it absorbs, and they stayed for a whole month, and they were there, and oh my god, they were trying to get out of it. They were like, well, you have cracks in your patio doors, and the draft blew the air from the patio inside the house. And I mean, what I can do is charge them. However much I got the invoice for the cleaner, I send the request to them. I said, this is how much I got charged. They do have the option to pay a part of it, and they can also not pay anything. So this is
Airbnb or the customer?
the customer.
Okay.
First, you ask the customer. You always have to ask the customer first. And so when they just don't answer anything, like it's been 3 days and they didn't answer, they didn't accept your request, that's when Airbnb gets involved, and you do click on the request. Please get the Airbnb involved. So then they can assist you, and they will maybe ask you for a little bit more information. They'll ask you maybe for pictures. Actually, when you put in the request, they already ask you for pictures and an estimate. So you'll have to get an estimate from a handyman. If you are the handyman and you want to pay yourself, you can create obviously an estimate in Google Forms, or just, yeah, because they do want some sort of documentation, so something to provide to the insurance. So yeah, I think it's worth it. If you need to pay $300 and you need to make a form for that, I think it's fine. But yeah, the smoking part is kind of tricky, because I thought that by me providing, because I have co-hosts that I do help them. They are so sensitive because they live in the proximity of the rental. They're sensitive to smoke. So they tell me, Christina, tell them we don't allow any smoking outside or anywhere. Like, we don't want them to smoke. So of course you stress that out. But I thought, okay, if I tell them you can smoke anything outside, they'll still go outside. But yeah.
Thank
The
you for
subject
addressing
of
that.
guests. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying thank you for addressing that.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
On the subject of guests, you mentioned
Mhm.
that 4 stars was kind of the lowest guest rating you would take. Is that right? Or
So no, so like the 4 stars, below anything below 5 stars is where Airbnb will think that it's not a good record for the guest to have. So then that guest will have to request to book. So they'll have to inquire to book. And so it's just done automatically by Airbnb. They kind of do like a filter for hosts who just started, and they want to be confident that whoever they're hosting, they're familiar with Airbnb. They know that they have to respect the host's property, and so yeah, they feel more confident host offering their place to someone who has good records. And sometimes you as a host will have access to seeing the review of other hosts who gave a review to this guest that's coming to you. So you'll read from me maybe, and so, you'll read something. Oh, this guest was excellent guest. He communicated so well, but unfortunately, he didn't read the guest rules. So he did the smoke inside, and I told him not to. So you'll see, you see what exactly this guest did. Um, but yeah, I mean, honestly, and again, this is something that maybe the guest learned, and he's not going to do that again. So you can give him a chance, and usually I give everyone a chance. Not gonna refuse anyone. um, but it's up to you. Whatever makes you comfortable.
another question, what would be the advantage of listing your home as a dome or an igloo in that one section in the beginning?
Mm. So it's just the options that Airbnb, you know, it's always like not an original type of place to stay, right? Like, some people just want to experience what it's like to live in a tree house or in a boat house, which is more available around Seattle, and it's unique to the area. And so basically, it's what like Airbnb is known for this all these unique types of listings. And it's just something that I didn't see available with other platforms. Like, we rent a little guest room that has a separate entrance but is attached to the main home, so I cannot list that property on Verbo. um, it doesn't give me that option. It's just, it has to be like a separate unit or an apartment. um, but like a studio or like something that doesn't have a kitchen, like, it doesn't go well on Verbo for some reason. So um, yeah, that's why like kind of Airbnb is a place where you can have a funky space and have a platform um, to list it, make it available for someone to stay. Right.
There's a
Okay.
question in the chat. It says, does the insurance include tree houses?
So the air cover does include any type of structure that you rent on Airbnb. So it is covered by Airbnb air cover. I personally also have a short-term rental insurance with my home insurance, and I never had to use it, thankfully. But like, it's the Airbnb air cover is so easy to access. It's like it's part of your platform. You just mention, the reservation number or the guest name, with the contact person at Airbnb, and then they can see the communication with you and the guest, and they can access that and help you. Right. So we have another question here. In your experience, which setting is easier to manage, entire house versus part of the house? That's a very good question. Honestly, like, when I have a guest host who comes to me and is like, Christina, I have this house, has 3 bedrooms, and I want to rent it all. I don't want to block anything. I just like want to rent the whole space. I had this good experience in Italy, and I want to recreate to all my guests who come to visit our city. So and I start convincing them, are you sure you want to open your entire house? And then I start going, and okay, then he tells me, Christina, I'm only going to be renting it for the weekend because I work and I have to use the house during the week. And then in the weekend, I go to my other house. And so I'm like, okay, so wait, don't you want to then leave your room where you have your personal things and just close that section? And isn't it easier for you to come back and then not have to clean your room also to go to sleep in, right, on Monday or whenever you come back? So it's from my experience, I think it's good to start with just a section of your house, just from the perspective of just managing guests, right? You want to start being confident having people that you don't know coming to your home, and it's, in my experience and my opinion, I think it's easier to start with the section, so a bedroom or 2, and then when you become more confident, and if you are already so okay with that, and you yourself experienced being traveling, and you're okay with that, yeah, just open the entire house. Honestly, it's not that different. It's all about like how you feel. And then again, make sure to stress out, because when there's a bigger home, there's always someone who will book the house and read the rules because they booked it, but then the rest of the party, they just tagging along. They're not going to read the rules. So there's always that aspect of like, it's a big group, and do they know that they're not allowed to bring their shoes inside, or do they know that it's no loud music after 10 p.m.? So it's that aspect that, if that matters to you, you should be aware of. If your space isn't suitable for tall or big people, can that be part of the description? There is there's only a section about accessibility on Airbnb. There's not a particular thing about tall or big people, but with that said, if you have anything to be aware of, there is a section when you set up the listing. There is a section, like, I think there's weapons on the property, or cameras, security cameras on property. So any of those disclaimers you can enumerate in that section. I think that's a good place to do that. And if you want to be more confident, you can also, I don't know, have a special disclaimer and send it to guests before they book it, and ask them to please read an initial and take a picture and send it back to me, because it's it's good to just be upfront about these things. In the consideration of bed size here, it says, okay. I mean, yeah, so when you post your listing, it does ask this, it does offer a listing of bed sizes. So I think that's a place where you can,
Self-explanatory.
yeah, you can, because you're going to go through all your spaces and describe the sleeping arrangements. So, for example, bedroom number 1 has 1 queen bed or 1 twin bed, or I don't know if there's a custom size bed type of situation in the description that you can opt for. But you can add that information in the disclaimer and maybe stress it out there, so then the guest has, total transparency about what to expect when they get there, and it's not a surprise.
Feet dangling off the end.
Yes, I know. Well, yes, I have my brother. He's pretty taller than me by 30 centimeters, and he lives in Japan, and I just like feel so bad for him because the beds in Japan they are not meant for tall people, and it has to be custom, which again is rare.
This futon.
But yeah, this is part of the experience.
Christina, do you have any knowledge about Airbnb experiences?
So Airbnb does offer another possibility of offering services to visitors, which are experiences, and that's something you can create. It can be a tour, a restaurant tour, or a hike, guided hike. So you can definitely create that, set that up. You can practice it maybe with some of your friends to run it through and see, get some feedback, what works, what not. But it's usually, it depends on the experience, but it's like it can be from like 1 hour to 3 hours to 6 hours. It's like a, depending on the activity, like a boat ride, like a sunset sail, that type of thing. And it's Airbnb has launched this program more of like a year ago, I think, because they did put a pause on it for a while, but it's available now again. And if you think that you have that extra knowledge about something about the area that the guests visiting would be interested in, I do recommend you offer that. It's pretty easy to set up. Yeah, you just have to have a description about the service you are offering, some pictures, and maybe if you do it with your friends, you can offer it for free, and then they can leave a review for you and describe it, so then other future visitors can have more confidence to book
And
your.
does Airbnb ensure that as well? The
Yes, the experience
experiences?
also has some sort of an insurance. Yes, it's interesting because that's the part, obviously, that gives you a good sleep at night, knowing that you're not liable for anything, and I understand that's very important. And it it's just like, thank goodness, like nothing critical has ever happened, thank goodness. But it's if you research, you can read all kinds of stories, and I prefer not to read because I'm like, oh my god, I can't think of that, because I already like have enough to worry about. But it's, like sometimes, unfortunately, it's not necessary that they will cover. Like, for example, like the last time they didn't want to cover is that a guest has used the microwave on high and burned something in it, and it just had this like yellow aspect that I had to replace the microwave. It looked, unclean. I don't want, anything like that for the next guest to experience. I want everything to be clean and not yellow. So I reached out to the guest. The guest like, okay, I'm gonna pay you half of it. I'm not paying for the entire microwave. And then I reached out, okay, now air cover. Can you cover for the rest of the microwave? So they didn't want to cover because they said, oh, well, if it's operable, we're not going to replace it. If it's just yellow, we're not going to replace it. And yeah, it was like, it's kind of like, and then they tell me also that, the guest has to admit that they damaged it, which the guest did admit. But still, that was not enough for them, so they never really replaced it. But then I had 2 instances of a guest placing a hot pot on the countertop, and it was a butcher block, and so it left dark ring. And again, you want to create a clean environment for the next guest, and just like not pleasant for you also as a homeowner. So yeah, so in both instances, when the guest didn't want to pay the entire amount, Airbnb covered the rest. But I had to provide invoices. I had to provide, and in fact, it wasn't 2 instances; it was 3 instances at different places. It was the most common, the most thing that happened. Oh yeah, I had some notes on something to mention about situations when are out of your control. So like if there's if power goes off, for example, and the guest doesn't have electricity. So unfortunately, it's out of your control. So it is up to you if you'd like to offer the guest a discount or not. If it's a scheduled maintenance thing, for example, if Public Works has to shut off water in your neighborhood to replace some pipes, in this instance, I would give the guest a credit. At least like the cleaning fee. I'm going to credit them the cleaning fee because they didn't have access. And sometimes they don't even have, they're not even in the unit for the amount of time that there's no water. So obviously you don't have to, but it's if it does happen, they reach out to you, hey, there's no water, then yeah, I will offer them something. I did have one time a situation when there was no power, and here in Arizona it gets hot, and I felt so bad, but no one had power, and I was like, I can't do anything. It's not out of my control. Like, yeah, there's a storm outside, and electricity was shut off for the entire neighborhood for 6 hours. So I did not give them any money in that situation. And this is again something you can decide. It kind of helped me when I worked in a hotel, when I could learn like when the guests would definitely, no question asked, be given a credit, and in some situations it was just like, sorry, but it's out of our control. And then what else did I want? Oh, well, yes, another situation is when we had the fire alarm go off, and it was just like a false alarm, but it was 3 a.m. in the morning and it was very loud. So I do recommend you replace the batteries, and, or have at least available batteries, or some sort of instruction to let know the guest what to do in case the fire alarm goes off. I tell them to go outside, assess the situation. If it's safe, to go back inside. If it's a false fire alarm, to see if they can replace the battery or reset the the alarm. So kind of like things that are maybe something that can happen, you kind of want to be prepared for those situations. Yes. Yeah, so and as I mentioned before, Airbnb doesn't make it easy to schedule the messages. You can even schedule the message that automatically for each guest on the check-in date at 8 a.m. in the morning, he gets that message in the morning saying, hey, your room is going to be ready at 4 p.m. today. If you have any questions, let us know. If you need any, because that's another request, a very common request is for guests to ask you for an early check-in, which again, you can offer that, but I can never promise. That's the one thing I learned in my experience, is like, I can never guarantee. I say, I will let you know on the day of arrival if when the room becomes available, because it depends on the cleaning crew when their schedule gets to your room to be cleaned. And also it depends on what happened when the previous guest was there. If there's extra airing needs to be done, extra windows need to be opened for the 1 hour for the air to be refreshed. Maybe all the blankets need to be, the decorative blankets need to be also washed. That takes another extra load, an extra hour. So I can never guarantee. I always say, I'll let you know as soon as it becomes available. So that's another option where you have to choose when you make your listing, is to offer baggage drop-off. So it will ask you, do you offer baggage drop-off? And honestly, if you have something available for the guest to access before the house becomes available to them to enter, because you don't want the guest to enter before the house is ready and clean. You don't want them to go in there, because you don't know what they're going to do. You want to be there first. They don't need to see anything dirty before their hour starts. So it depends on you. If you have a place where the guests can put their luggage, it's okay. You can offer that. If not, just don't offer it, and that's okay. And so again, another thing to decide is when you want to set your checkout hour. So I know that like if you hire someone to clean your Airbnb, they prefer you do 10 a.m. checkout and 4 p.m. check-in. So then they have that 6 hours to clean. And then maybe they have to go to some other listing first to clean, and then they'll get to yours. So consider that time. The ones I do, I put 11 a.m. check-in and 4 p.m. checkout. And then one time, mistakenly, when I was setting up a new listing, I put 11 a.m. check-in. And that's not gonna work, because you need time to clean it. And it's like one guest I remember, oh, I see you have 11 a.m. check-in. I can get there at 11 a.m. I'm like, oh, so sorry. No, actually it's 4 p.m. check-in. And I know some hosts, they charge extra if they offer early check-in. So they will say, for $50 you can check in at 2 p.m. instead, or for $100. Or they offer a late checkout. And usually it's because they have a late flight, and they want to be somewhere before their late flight. And if they ask you, can we check out at 6 p.m., basically I say anything after 2 p.m. it's half of a nightly rate, because you have to basically block that night. Because if they stay there until 6 p.m. and you cannot have anyone come in that night, you're not gonna have enough time to turn it around. So you have to charge them at least half of the night, and then you have to block that night. So if you have that available for them, you can offer it. Yeah, there's many how to say extra services that customers sometimes request. And again, I learned my lesson the hard way, because at the beginning I was like, yes, I'll do everything. And then they'll ask you, hey, can I do something for my friend's birthday? Can you buy some balloons and some cake and some flowers? And I'm like, of course, it's easy, right? You go to the store, you buy the cake, you buy the flowers and some balloons. But it's time of your day. You have to make the trip. You have to choose something, and then you have to also present it, and then you have to blow the balloons. So that's at least an hour of you, at least. And so I learned my lesson. I said, okay, I can set it up. I can set anything up that you send to me, ship to me. And if it's anything that I need, like helium or to blow, I'll charge $50 extra minimum to do any balloons or anything, because it takes so much time. So then that kind of discouraged guests from asking, and they decided to order themselves delivery. I give them the address, they order flowers delivery, cake delivery comes to the door. I can go and bring it inside, so it's not outside. I can do those steps. But yeah, it's extra working to know how to value your time.
Good point.
But yes, for the first guests, it is lovely if you offer a bottle of wine or a nice local chocolate. It's just, and you can even leave a little card with like a local card, postcard, and say, welcome, just to let you know, you're one of our first guests. We'd love to hear if you like. I do that on the physical postcard for the first 10 guests, and I send them a message on the day of their departure. I want to bombard them and stress out. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. I need to know so I can improve this space, and we appreciate your opinion. So it works, people like want to help you, and they want to give you good reviews, and they want to encourage you. And I think it's a good community to be in. All right. Don't see any other questions here, but as I mentioned, I will send you the presentation in PDF, and I will probably send you the most important parts of it. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I like sharing my experience, and I like sharing, supporting the community. And also Airbnb has a good community there too, where you can ask questions, and experienced hosts can answer, and it actually helps me a lot. There's some like Facebook groups is where you can find the different scenarios that are like, oh my god. But it's good to be prepared, to know where you're getting yourself into. I am hoping that you will have good guests. I send you all the best responsible who read the guest rules, guests. And yeah, I hope you have good experience, and
Thank you.
and like it, and continue doing it, and yourself also travel and get inspiration, and that helps really. That's like the most motivating thing that helps you continue on. All right. Well, it was a pleasure hosting this webinar with you. As I said, I hope we keep in touch, and I hear good stories from you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Christina,
Hmm.
how soon should we check our email for PDF? When should we expect it?
I think best by the end of this week, Sunday, like
Okay,
so, yeah, Sunday or Monday. Yes, I apologize. I am traveling right now, so I will I will get to it as soon as possible.
great. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time
you so
tonight.
much. Yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm just gonna stop the